Yeah. In the previous class, we discussed about the DML commands, particularly the insert, update, delete, and select. We were able to insert single record. We were able to insert multiple records. And then we did a select on the table. And then we deleted the records from the table using a condition. And then we were able to select the records from the table using a condition. So these are the things which we saw. And we also saw here something called a wildcard. So this is called wildcard, which says that get me all the names that start with R, and that's a wildcard. Wildcard, I will say it's called wildcard. Okay, it's called wildcard. Yeah. Yep. So we will continue on the DML commands, and we will see more about the DML commands. Okay. Okay. So what happens if you don't give a condition on the delete? If let us see, we just give this command, what happens? Let us think this. This will delete all the records from the table. Okay. So this will delete all the records from the table. So before deleting all the records, let's pull all the records from the table. So when I do execute, and it says invalid object name. Why does? Because it is querying on the master database. So it is saying invalid object name, but you need to change it to your database. You can change it here, or you can do say use batch 33. You can do this way too. Like you need to, if you are on master and you want to use batch 33, you can select this and execute. It will change automatically. Okay. So it is wiser to write the use batch 33 or the database name on the top of your query in your query window in your basically in your SQL file, because this says all these database commands are part of the are executed on top of this DB, this database. So you don't want these to be executed on other database. So you need to write this on the top of your file. That's a good convention to do. Okay. So write use which database you want to use. Okay. You want to change it, you can change in between two. Okay. So here we want to delete all the records from the table. So before deleting all the records from the table, let's see what are the records we have in the table. So I'm doing a select condition that is so I'm selecting all the records from the table. So we can see there are 3 records in the table, and here I am going to delete all the records. So you can do using this query. So delete from this table. It says 3 rows affected. That means all the records were deleted. And then you can do a select condition again. You see there were no records. So like this, you can do a delete, which will delete all the records from the table. But if you want to delete a particular record, then you need to do a condition. So do a condition, then it will delete only those records that satisfy this condition. Okay. So that's how you can delete. And I want to insert all the records back. So I'm executing this command. So I'm executed this command. Okay. And I also will execute this command. So now there will be 4 records. So select, you can see 4 records. I just inserted the RAM at the last. So it is in this. Yes. So now you saw how to insert, how to delete, how to select. We will see update. Okay. So you want to update. Let us think. I want to update the city of Ram from Hyderabad to Vizag. Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, and then how can I do that? So you need to say update. What you want to update? You want to update the participants table. In participants table, you want to set what you want to set. You want to set city to Vizag. If you do this, it will set the city of all the people participants to Vizag, which you don't want to do. So all the records will get updated to Vizag, which you don't want to do. You want to set it only for RAM. So what is an identifier for RAM? 101. So what? How can you say where ID is equal to 101? So this will update only the city of RAM, okay, because we gave a condition. So see, only one row affected, and when you select all the records back, you can see RAM got updated to Vizag. So like this, you can update a record or a bunch of records also you can do. You want to update Ramya and Rahul to Delhi. Let us think. How can you do? Update. Same thing. And set city to Delhi. Delhi. Where? You can do it in two ways or multiple ways. ID in, you can say ID in 103, 104. If the ID is in these two values, then you can update. So this is one way. Or you can use a condition like this also. ParticipantId name starts with R. It will update the Ramya and Rahul's city to Delhi. Let us see what it does. Two rows got affected. And you can see Ramya and Rahul's city got updated to Delhi. Like this, you can update multiple records too. Okay. So that's how you can update. So this is about the update condition. So basically, insert is to insert, update is to update, delete is to delete, select is to retrieve. Okay. So these are the DML commands. We will see more about the commands now. So this is some more detail into commands, in-depth detail into the commands. How what we can do apart from these, we will see here. So before we go in depth into the commands, I need to discuss some other concepts related to the database. So we need to discuss about the keys. So what are the keys? There are keys like unique key or index key and the primary key. So these are the two types of keys we can define on any column. And there are other keys too, apart from this, like foreign key. Foreign key. So we'll discuss what are these keys. To understand these keys, you need to understand something called null. Okay. Let us think you want to insert one record into the table. So I'm just taking the insert. I want to insert a new record, and this record is 105. I want to insert a record called Satish, and this is 205 555, and he is from Cochin. He's from Cochin. So I want to insert this participant into the table. So how I can do? Just I need to execute. Let us think we don't know Satish's phone number. So what we need to specify here? We will need to specify. We can do it like this. We don't know. But this also says that there is a value, right? But really we don't know anything. We don't want to put any value, not even a space or anything into that column. So how we can do? We can use something called null. So null is used to fill in the unknown. Null means we don't know anything about that. Okay. We don't want to fill any value, then we will fill null. That's what we do. Okay. Null means nothing. Null means nothing. So when I do this, what happens? The row gets inserted, and when I select the row, you can see null got inserted. So null means it is empty, okay, or nothing. So there is no phone number for Satish. So null means nothing. So that's we saw. Then we will move the key concepts here. Okay. So we will discuss these keys. So unique key is a key. We can remove this. Unique key is a key which says all the columns need to be unique. When we apply this key or constraint, unique key or constraint, when we apply the constraint on the top of a table, unique constraint on a top of a column of a table, let us think if we apply here on this column, if you apply the unique constraint, then what does it do is it will not allow another record to have the same ID. Okay, so let us see what happens. So I want to apply a constraint on this column. Which constraint? Unique constraint. So let us see what happens. Okay, so I want to apply a constraint, right? So I can do it in multiple ways. Okay, so so one is you can do an alter command, alter table name, and you want to apply a unique key on top of alter. You need to say table name, and what you want to do, you want to apply a unique constraint on the top of this ID. Think you should say alter ID, and you need to say alter column. Not sure, but you can do, yeah, alter column ID, and you need to say index or unique, sorry. I think just let me check. Unique constraint SQL server command. You can use actually the interface too. Generally, I use the interface, but you can also do add constraint. Sorry, alter table name, or add constraint, not alter. Add constraint. You're adding a constraint, right? So add constraint name, and unique. So how can you do add constraint? Some constraint name we need to give, and what is unique you need to specify. Okay, constraint name I am saying ID is unique. Like that you can give constraint name, and you need to specify what you want to do unique. I want to do ID unique. So you want to specify the ID as unique. So like this, you can apply a constraint or unique key on a particular table or set of particular column or set of columns. So like this you can apply. So let us see what happens. I executed it. Now I want to add one more record on the same ID. Now this is Mahesh. Let us think Mahesh. and he's also from Cochin. He also doesn't have any phone number. I want to add this record. You can see we are using the same ID, but ID has a unique constraint. So this is a violation, and this is a unique key or unique constraint violation. Let us see what would be the error when we do this. See, violation of a unique key constraint. Okay, unique key constraint. Okay, unique key constraint, that is ID is unique. So this constraint is violated, and we cannot insert a duplicate key in the object DBO objects because the duplicate key is something 105. It is, so this is what we try to insert. So it says that there is already a 105 in my table, and you are not able to, you should not insert that. That's what it is saying, that there is already 105 into the participants table, so we are not allowed to insert a new record with the same. Okay, then can I do a null? Am I allowed to do a null on the top of this column? Let us see. Okay, there's a question, right? Okay, it allowed. So unique key constraint allows nulls. Okay, so there is a unique key, then you can do a null. Let us think. I want to do another person. His name is Suresh. Okay, so now I want to allow add Suresh, and I also don't know what is his ID. So I want to add Suresh now. Can I do another null? There is already one existing null. So we set, there is already one existing null. So can I do another null? Whatever your answer, like you can answer me now. So we have a unique constraint on this table, and we already have one null. We want to do another null, add another null. Can we do that? Anybody can answer me.
I think no.
No. Okay. Or other persons?
No.
No. Okay. Let us see. What does it say? Unique cannot insert a duplicate. The duplicate key null. So you cannot have another null into the table, but you can have one null into the table. You got it? So that's what it is. So unique constraint says it should be unique. Okay. So unique constraint says it should be unique. See, we cannot do that. Okay. So yeah, and that's about the unique constraint. You can check the constraint. Let us think. I added the unique constraint, right? How I can know what constraint is on that column? You can go into the databases, then you can open the batch 33 database. You can open the table. You can open the participants table. You can open the constraints. You can refresh. I don't think there is a constraint here, but yeah, you can see here keys. This is the constraint. Okay, so you can open, double click on that. You can see once you click on it, you should be able to see here in the properties. So these are column properties. When you click on each column, you will be able to see the properties of that column. So when you click on here, and so it says allow null says data type int ID and identity specification. No. Okay, let me see. modify. Where you have specified the constraint. Unique. Ah, or you can ID is unique. I think modify. I will check how to see it through the interface, user interface, but generally like you, once you add a constraint, you can see that is added here or key is added. Like that, you can add a key. So we understood now what is a unique constraint. Now we will see a difference between a unique key as well as a primary key. Okay, so unique key, now we applied a unique key on the top of the ID table. Okay, now I want to delete this constraint. You can, how can you delete it? You can delete it like this simply, but you can also write a command. It is advisable to learn the commands. Why? Because commands help you to write code, and code is the one which you can use it multiple times. So code is something you can use in automation. So if you know code, you can write the code and you can put it in some exe file and do an execute task on that, and it does execute whenever you want, and it does the operation for you. So that's why you need to learn code. Okay, though you know how to do it manually using an interface, we advise, or it is learning means learning the code, that is how to write a SQL statement. So I want to add means I want to remove. So remove constraint or delete. I think it delete. Sorry, drop. Yeah, drop constraint, and the constraint name is this. That's what I want to do. Okay, so it is drop constraint, and once I do this, it deletes that constraint, and you can refresh the keys. You should see the key is gone. So that's how we can delete the constraint. Now I want to select all the records back, so I can do it using select command. So you see I have all the records. Now I want to record the last, I want to remove the last record. So how I can do that? Delete. I can copy the delete script, this one, and I am saying the ID is equal to null. Can I do this? No, we cannot do an equal to operator to check or compare with null. We need to say is null. Okay, we need to say is null. If we want to say not equal to, then we need to say is not null. Like that we need to do. Okay, we cannot do equal to operator. Okay, we should say is null. That is what we need to do. So I want to delete the last record, this record. I'm identifying the record using this condition. This is a condition I'm using to identify this record. So sometimes you don't know if the table is very big, something like a lakh of records are there, and you want to apply the condition, but at the same time you don't know what gets deleted if you apply that condition. Then what the trick you can do is, instead of delete, you can say select star from this table, and you do that. You see what all records you are selecting. Then you can change it to a delete command. So like that you can change it to a delete command. then now you know what all records gets deleted. So you select the records, check those, you are happy, then you can go for a delete command. So that's how you can do it. Okay, so select the records, check them, verify them, you are satisfied, go for a delete. So now I'm doing a delete. So one row is deleted. I'm doing a select again. Yeah, select. You can see we have the 5 records what we are supposed to have. Okay. Now I want to apply a condition, that is primary key constraint. We applied a unique key constraint, right? Now I want to do a primary key constraint on the top of ID column. So how can I do? Similar. So here, take this, put it. You say add constraint. ID is primary key, and you can say primary key, I think, and you need to say ID. Let us see, will this work? You cannot create a constraint on the index. So what does it is saying, that this is column is allowing null. This column is allowing null. So you cannot create or define a constraint primary key on null. Okay, it happily allowed unique key, but it doesn't. It's not allowing a primary key. Why? Because primary key doesn't allow nulls. Primary key will not allow nulls. So it is not allowing the primary key on this table. You are saying that, okay, once we check the table, we see there are no nulls. Still it is not allowing. There are no nulls. How can you say it is there are nulls? Yes, there are no nulls on this table, this column, but yet this column is nullable. Nullable means it allows nulls. At present, you don't have nulls, but this column allows nulls. If it allows nulls, then we cannot make it a primary key on that column. So we need to make it not null. Okay, we should make it not null. So we need to remove the nullable thing from this column. How can we do that? So we need to again alter table. Are you getting me? So we cannot apply a primary key on the top of a column that can be nullable. We need to make it non-nullable. So that's what we are doing. So we need to say, we need to alter column. And what is our column? ID. We need to say non-null. You need to say not null. Allow, I think allow not null. Let me see. Okay. I don't remember all the commands, but yeah. So allow not null on C column SQL server. Not null constraint. Okay. So modify, can use modify also, age int not null. Yeah, modify. I think we should say modify SQL. We want a SQL server. I don't know, is this SQL server or SQL? There is a little change. So let us see, modify. We don't have modify. Yeah, also column not null. Let us see, add not null. alter column ID not null. Okay, let us say int not null. Yeah, int not null. So this is an int, right? We need to specify alter column ID int not null. Yeah. So that's what we need to do. So we applied the not null on the top of this column, and I'm just refreshing the columns. You can see here not null. So these are all nullable, means you can drop null into these columns, but you should not drop a null into this column. You cannot put a null into this column. Now I want to apply the primary key condition on that. See, it got applied. And when you do refresh, you can see there is a PK on the top of this column. So there is a PK on the top of this column, and there is one key, that is ID is primary key. So this is the key condition, and this is the PK primary key applied on the top of this column. So the rule is that primary key will not allow nulls. Okay, and unique key will allow nulls, but again you cannot have multiple nulls. Okay, so that's the difference between primary key and unique key. So I can say primary key is equal to unique key plus not null. So this is the rule. So primary key means primary key is a key which is unique, means you cannot have twice the same thing, as well as it will not allow nulls, You cannot put a null into the primary key. Let us try. So this worked for unique key. Let us do. You cannot insert the value null into ID because the column does not allow nulls. It is a non-nullable column because we made it non-nullable. You can see we made it non-nullable. So we made it non-nullable and we added the primary key constraint on that table. Okay. Okay, we cannot allow nulls. Can we do a duplicate? Like we already have 103, right? So can I do a 103 or 105 on that? So I want to do 105. Let us think I want to do 105. So can I do that? You see, it is a violation. The primary key constraint ID cannot insert a duplicate key. So you cannot insert a duplicate. Means primary key means it is unique as well as not null. You cannot insert a duplicate. You cannot insert a null. You cannot insert a null as well as you cannot insert a unique, so duplicate. So that's about the primary key. So today we saw some things like how to do an update, how to do an update for multiple records, how to delete based on a condition. Then we saw something about null. What is null? Null means nothing. If you don't know what to input or we don't have anything to input, we can say null. Then we saw constraints. In constraints, we saw unique key constraint and primary key constraint or keys. And we saw what is the difference between a primary key and a unique key. So that's about today's session. Do you have any questions on today's session? Yeah. Okay, if you have questions, please you can send me the questions, or you want to talk about anything on the SQL, I'm happy to do that. And see you in the next class on Monday, and have a nice weekend. And please try to study unique key and primary key. today so that you remember this concept. This is mostly asked concept in the interviews.